Uncle is saying, look through the gap in the stairs.
My 4-year-old niece tugged at my sleeve. In front of me lies my husband, unconscious and still, on a hospital bed. A week ago, he was stabbed during a confrontation with a burglar, who is still on the run. After returning home, I recalled my niece's peculiar words and checked the stairs. There, in a tiny crevice, I found something bloodied. I shuddered in surprise. Could it be? An unexpectedly familiar person might be the culprit, and fear gripped me. I work in administration at a real estate agency. Last year, I tied the knot with Michael, one of our salesmen, after an office romance. Both of us are 25 years old, and our shared motto was, we want kids soon. Why? Because I have a sister, and her child, Emma, is incredibly adorable. Whenever I see my 4-year-old niece giggling or pouting, I imagine ourselves as parents. Little Emma possesses a mysterious ability.
Aunt Sophia, your ring is on the bookshelf.
Whenever I misplaced something, my niece would pinpoint its location. Not just once, but repeatedly. Even my sister said,
When in trouble, ask Emma. Somehow, good things happen.
Children are said to see ghosts, but I wonder if there's something more to it? Perhaps our future child will also have special abilities. We had dreams of a family with children. However, unfortunately, our newlywed life didn't go smoothly. Shortly after getting married, we started receiving disturbing letters at home. They were addressed to my husband, and the words written on them were chilling: break up and disappear. Seeing my fear, Michael said,
It's a malicious prank. I'll take it to the police.
He filed a report, but the identity of the letter sender remained unknown. Our days were filled with anxiety. Then, one day, James, my husband's colleague, came to the General Affairs Department where I worked. Why would someone from the sales department visit me? When I approached James, he handed me a piece of paper. Disappear and an eyesore, the same words from the threatening letters we received at home were scribbled on that paper. I gasped, and James looked serious.
It had been on Michael's desk. As a rising star in the sales department, he had made enemies. Many saw him as a nuisance. It was troubling.
James crumpled the paper in his hand and said,
I've known Michael since we joined the company. If anything happens, feel free to consult with me.
He smiled kindly at me. I never expected Michael to be in such a situation. But having an ally is reassuring. My sister also visited our home, worried about us. Despite the unsettling letters, with support from those around us, we stood strong. We wouldn't let the harassment defeat us, and I resolved to support Michael. Little did we know what was about to happen. My sister called in a panic.
Sophia, Michael is unconscious. Come back immediately.
I received her call while attending a friend's wedding. It was a Saturday, and my husband was supposed to be home after working overtime. My sister continued.
Michael was stabbed during a break-in.
Her words were incomprehensible. Rushing to the hospital, I found Michael lying pale-faced on the bed. Michael, wake up! I pleaded, gripping his hand. But he remained motionless. The room echoed with the rhythmic beeping of machines. Tears streamed down my face as I wondered, why is this happening? My sister, who had been waiting in the room, comforted me. According to the police, our neighbor had discovered Michael collapsed at home, bleeding from a stab wound. Apparently, the neighbor had come to deliver a community newsletter, And this person always inconsiderately opens our front door without hesitation. However, on this occasion, that very act turned out to be fortunate, leading to the early discovery of my husband. Given the recent spate of burglaries in the neighborhood, the police suspected that it might be the work of the burglar. No, it must be the same person who sent those letters. I've also consulted with the police. You know that, I fervently explained to my sister. However, she interrupted me, saying,
I'll handle the explanation to the police. Sophia, you should take a break.
Oh, if only I hadn't gone to that wedding. Maybe Michael would be safe. I lamented. I prayed for his recovery, but even after a week since the incident, he remained unconscious. The perpetrator was still at large. Michael, our anniversary is coming up soon. Where would you like to go? I spoke to my husband, connected to numerous tubes in the hospital room, but there was no response. No matter how hard I tried to hold back, tears flowed uncontrollably.
It's hard to stay positive, even when people tell you to.
I turned around to find James, who had come to visit him. He had been checking in on Michael every day, bringing flowers and treats to comfort me. Sorry for showing you such an embarrassing sight. I hurriedly wiped away my tears, but James leaned in and said,
Don't worry about it.
Just then, an innocent voice came from behind.
Aunt Sophia, who's this?
I looked back, and my niece Emma stood there, tilting her head curiously. It was her first time visiting.
Oh, come on.
My sister said curtly to Emma and then greeted James.
I apologize for intruding.
Oh, family? Well, I'll leave you all to it.
With a brief nod to my sister, James placed the flowers down and left the room.
Sorry for the sudden visit. Emma insisted on coming to see Michael.
My sister looked apologetic, but Emma paid no attention. She stood by the bed, staring intently at Michael's face.
Uncle is saying, look into the gap in the stairs. A barge is there.
My niece suddenly blurted out a mysterious statement from behind. A barge? You mean those large ships that transport goods at the harbor? And it's under the stairs? However, my sister insisted.
Emma might have something important to say. Look.
She was dead serious. As we continued, visiting hours at the hospital passed, and my sister drove me home. Before parting ways, she said,
Call me if anything happens.
But seriously, was there really a gap under the stairs? I retraced my memories, unlocked the front door, and headed toward the staircase. During the incident, Michael had been found collapsed on the stairs, covered in blood. The police had collected evidence and cleaned up. Everything was already in pristine condition. Huh? There's a gap at the edge of the bottom step. I noticed a faint trace of red blood there. I shone my flashlight inside and saw something reflecting, glinting in the light. I quickly grabbed some tweezers and pulled it out. It turned out to be something unexpected. Huh? Isn't this a company badge? In our company, everyone wears a badge with the company logo as an employee ID. The familiar badge was dried, stained with a significant amount of blood. It must have been squeezed into the gap because of the blood. Come to think of it, the police mentioned an unnatural scratch on Michael's fingertip. Could he have pushed something into the gap? The hidden company badge might be a message from Michael indicating who the culprit is. I immediately called my sister.
See? Something was found after all. Let's go together to report it to the police.
As my sister bustled around on the other end of the phone, I heard my niece's voice.
If there's no barge, you need later. It's troublesome for one person. Who's being a nuisance?
What? Another riddle? Is this another clue related to the case? I leaned forward, asking, but all I heard from the phone was Emma's giggles. Emma had accurately guessed something about the space under the stairs, and I suspected this riddle held a clue to the perpetrator. I stared at the blood-stained company badge in my palm. Michael must have left a crucial clue in his desperate struggle, enduring immense pain until he lost consciousness. I won't let Michael's message go to waste. I'll catch the criminal. I vowed to uncover the cowardly perpetrator and seek revenge. Later, I promptly delivered the badge to the police and went to visit my niece. If there's no barge, you need later. It's troublesome for one person. Who's being a nuisance? Emma's words intrigued me. I asked her for more details. Hey, Emma, what does it mean when you say you need a barge later?
It's later.
Wait, you mean too late? Emma shook her head.
No, not like that.
I still puzzled. When you say it's troublesome for one person, who's being a nuisance? Are you talking about the number of people? Would 2 people be less of a nuisance?
No, that's still too many. It's about being bothersome.
My niece wears a smug expression, but the mystery only deepens. I have no idea what she's talking about. I was confused and let out a groan. My sister, equally puzzled.
There must be some meaning to it.
Despite her uncertainty, I decided to leave her house and head to a cafe to clear my thoughts. As I sipped my coffee and pondered, a man in a suit sitting at the adjacent table stood up, leaving his smartphone behind. Excuse me, you've forgotten your phone. He hurried back, relieved, and replied.
Thank you. It's my work phone, and losing it would mean writing an incident report.
At that moment, something clicked in my mind. Finally, the answer to the riddle became clear. I dashed back to my workplace. What followed was a whirlwind of events that revealed the truth. 5 days later, I found myself in a hospital room with my unconscious husband.
It's been a while. Why did you take 5 days off work? I didn't see you at the hospital either. I was worried.
James said during his visit. Ignoring the bouquet he offered, I looked him straight in the eyes and quietly asked, "Despite being so close to my husband that you visit him earnestly, why did you stab him?" James' face turned pale at my sudden accusation.
What are you talking about? Isn't the culprit a burglar?
He smiles kindly as always, trying to play it off. I take the blood-stained company badge I found under the stairs out of my pocket and show it to him.
Is that our company's badge?
The barge my niece mentioned wasn't a ship at the harbor. It referred to the company badge. "We've been receiving harassing letters at home. And my husband hid the company badge to reveal the culprit. The culprit isn't a burglar, it's someone close within the company." I look at James with conviction.
You're not seriously suspecting me, are you? After all I've done to care for you.
He reaches for my hand with a strained smile. I push away his hand and show him a copy of his disciplinary report that I found in HR. Emma's statement about needing a barge later meant needing the letter of apology to the company because he lost his badge. 2 days after my husband was stabbed, he wrote the incident report.
Could that be Michael's company badge?
His badge was properly at home. I swiftly dismissed his feeble excuse. James clenched his lips in frustration. But he wasn't giving up. James persisted.
You're shaken because of Michael's stabbing. From now on, I'll be there for you in Michael's place.
His unfocused eyes drew closer. I deftly sidestepped him and pulled out documents from my bag. It was the drive recorder data from the company car he always used. You came to our place at the time of the incident, even though there are no business partners nearby, right? As the data manager for the company's drive recorders, I quickly analyzed James's movements during the incident. Perhaps he had considered erasing the data later, but the company car's recorder was locked to prevent unauthorized tampering. Did you have feelings for me? I asked, watching James squirm. After questioning other colleagues, it became clear that James had secretly harbored feelings for me all along. Furthermore, it was revealed that James resented Michael for supposedly stealing me away from him. Emma's riddle, it's troublesome for one person. Whose being a nuisance meant that if someone already had a spouse, Michael's presence would be an obstacle to their marriage. You held a grudge and harassed us, fearing we might get divorced. That's disgusting. James clenched his fists in anger at my use of the word disgusting.
I liked you much more than Michael ever did. I thought scaring you would lead to a breakup.
He stomped his feet in frustration.
Since the letters alone weren't effective, I decided to put a weapon in your mailbox. I thought it would wake you up in fear.
Unfortunately for him, Michael unexpectedly returned home earlier than planned and caught James in the act of pulling out the knife. James' stomping intensified.
He arrogantly accused me of being the culprit. He said, "Do you realize how terrified Sophia is?" He warned me never to come near his wife again.
So, in your anger, you used the knife you were holding to stab my husband?
Yeah, that's right. It was all for you. Now I just need to finish him off.
James, defiant, rushed toward the bed, attempting to strangle Michael. Desperate to protect my husband, I grappled with James. Then, unexpectedly, Michael's weak voice cut through the chaos.
Enough already.
James froze momentarily at the unexpected interruption. Seizing the opportunity, I pushed James with all my strength. He crashed into the door with a loud thud, and the curtain he grabbed tore apart. The hospital staff rushed in, alarmed by the strange noise echoing through the halls. Call the police! I shouted. The staff gathered around, helping restrain James and making emergency calls. Later, when the police arrived and I explained everything, they took James into custody. He cried out in desperation.
We were so close to being happy.
What nonsense are you spouting? There was never any chance of happiness for you. I stared at James, pushing him away with a resolute tone.
I've loved you all along. I really have.
James continued to sob like a child. But his selfish claims held no sway. The only person I love is my husband. Stay away from me forever, I told him sternly. As James was led away by the police, he muttered. Later, Michael regained consciousness and testified against James, leading to his conviction. James would spend about 7 years behind bars. Michael demanded $15,000 in compensation. Even if James were released, losing his job would likely cause financial hardship. As for me, today I invited my sister and Emma over for lunch with Michael. As we sat around the table, my niece grinned and said,
The new chair isn't just one, it's two.
My husband and I exchanged glances. It seems I'm pregnant with twins. I'll need to visit the obstetrician soon.
How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until next time.